Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, no matter where you are in the world. Hopefully, we have you covered. Today, I'm very excited to talk to a personal friend. I think I've known Jamie for 20 plus years. I had to shave my beard off just for this, just for we did this. I want to make sure I wasn't a gray beard. So it is my honor to have Mr. Jaime Swindell. He also has a pseudonym of Mr. Lifestyle. So let me just go on and go through a snippet of Jamie's bio. If I went to the whole thing, that would be the whole Lighthouse podcast number 8. But I will just do some tidbits of some high notes from his bio. He studied engineering at North Carolina A&T. I think they call it Aggie Pride. Do I have it correct? I mean, I did recruit at Aggie, North Carolina A&T a couple of times. It is Aggie Pride. Just want to make sure I got it right.
You gotta say it right though. It's Aggie Pie. So
Oh, see, they didn't tell me that. They didn't tell me that at the union. I gotta tell Virginia, that I
yeah,
didn't get the Aggie done correctly.
you
So
ate that
Aggie
vocal
Pride, so not
modulation.
you gotta say it with your diaphragm. Say it with your diaphragm.
Exactly. Say it with your chest. Say it with your chest.
So he went to North Carolina A&T Aggie Pride, and he studied engineering there. Now, I'm getting close. And he also worked at a Johnson & Johnson, if I got it correctly. You were there for a few years, but then you had a bigger and better calling in your life. You wanted to do training. And I was amazed when you gave me your bio. I was like, wow, this is amazing. 500,000 people? I mean, that's amazing. 500,000 people over the course of your career. And you have certain areas that you really like. And I like some of the titles you have. Sexy, selling, success is your birthright, and the miracle is in your mouth. These are outstanding titles just by themselves. These are kind of his mantra. And rumor has it at Johnson and Johnson. I know they gave you a nickname. I'm not sure. Was it the quiet whisperer or the candid talker? What was the thing they called you there?
I don't remember which one you're talking about
Well,
specifically.
let me look at my notes here. I think they call it you're hilariously truthful.
There you go. That's more like
You're
it.
hilariously truthful. And then
I
and
do
then
like to
also
keep
going through
things
your
real.
bio, I always knew you had a 215 area code. I know that's Pennsylvania, but I didn't know you were from Philly. What part of Philly? West Philly, North
Southwest.
Philly?
The
Southwest,
Southwest.
okay.
Right by the airport. Not
By the
not too
airport.
far from where Will Smith grew up. He was in West Philly. I was in Southwest, about 20 minutes apart.
Cool. My wife's from Westville. I didn't know that I
I
will
didn't know
tell her
that.
that. Yeah, 53rd and Market in that area. Actually, she's in Philly today. So
That's straight up West Philly. Yes.
that is straight at West Philly. And she actually grew up in some parts in North Philly. And
Wow.
also
I did
for
not all
Jamie,
these years, I did not know that.
yeah, Phil. I mean, what happened? Florida tones you down. Florida will tone you down. If you
Yes.
go from Philly to Florida, it will definitely tone your energy level down. Yeah, see us from next time you see her. You just have to y'all can have the Philly brotherly love and brotherly shove there. So
No doubt.
and one of the things that I really admire about Jamie, a lot of his principles were kind of biblically based, and he basically says the Bible is the success book, the best success book ever written. And we probably can elaborate a little bit more. So when Jamie is not traveling or training or coaching, or he's on the PSD advisory committee for his wife. He's working on that. And then he has twin daughters. So I don't know where in the world you actually get time to sleep, or maybe you don't sleep. Maybe you don't have to sleep down in North Carolina. So it is my
Actually,
honor to introduce Mr. Lifestyle, Jamie Swindell.
I appreciate, man. Thank you for just having me on here. Anytime I can spend time with you, it's an honor, privilege, and a pleasure. So I'm excited.
All right, I appreciate it. I just have a few questions here to go through, and this is more of an interaction where we're trying to get value to the podcast listeners. So this I have a script, but we can always go off script there. So I know
Oh,
that on in West Philly style or Southwest Philly style. So I know initially you grew up in Philly, you went to North Carolina A&T, studied engineering, and then at some point you decided to say, hey, maybe it's a pivot, right? That maybe you wanted to go from engineering to sales and speaking. What was that moment for you? That was there a whisper in your ear that says it's time to do something different? Talk about that moment.
that's an awesome question. For me, I mean, there's been many different pivot points or things that have occurred in my life that kind of had me going in a certain direction. If we take it back even before engineering, my first exposure to speaking was when I was about 8. my mother volunteered me to read scripture in front of the entire congregation at my church. And I felt like I was going to pass out. Like, I'm going to see Jesus that day. My throat, was all, clogged up and felt like cotton balls in my mouth, and my hands were nervous. And I was on the podium, like the main pulpit thing. And so I had a little stool because I couldn't see over the pulpit. So I'm like rocking, I'm holding on to the podium and I'm rocking as I'm reading whatever scripture. And I'm thinking, this is about to fall over and this is going to be the end. And so I got through it somehow, said it real fast, and I'm off the stage, right? I'm gone. And so I'm thinking that was terrible. That was, horrific. And people kept coming up to me saying, "Oh, that was great, young man. That was awesome." I'm thinking, they lying in church. They just lying right now. But there was some energy transfer happened where it was just like, wow, that felt pretty good. I mean, it was nerve wracking going through it all, but to see the joy in people's faces, whether it was manufactured or not, it felt good that people seemed to value what I was saying. So that was like kind of like the first like deposit going towards the speaking type thing. And then it was like a few weeks later, my mom volunteered me again, this time to create and recite the welcome address. So as new members and new people coming to the church, welcome all the visitors and all that kind of thing. So I'm like even more nervous now. Before, the scripture was already written. I didn't have to make up anything. I could just read it. Now I got to actually create something to welcome people into our church. So what am I going to say? Is it going to sound dumb? Are they going to like it? All that self-doubt was happening. And then somehow I put it together, got through it, and people came up to me even more saying, "Man, that was awesome. I feel so welcome." New visitors, existing members. This was amazing. And so it was like little things like that just kept happening where it was like, interesting. I didn't think career. It was just like, that's interesting. And I think the pivot point happened when I watched the movie Malcolm X.
Really?
When Malcolm was outside of this hospital because one of his members of the Nation of Islam had got beaten up by the cops and he was bloody and all of that. And the cops were being difficult. And Malcolm came into the police sink and said, "Hey, you guys picked up my guy. Where is he?" And the cops was like, "I gotta tell you anything. You know what I mean? Look, we're the cops. You're a little black guy. What you gonna do?" Right. And Malcolm said, "Listen, I think you might want to tell us where our friend is." He's like, "For what?" He's look outside the window. Looked outside the window and it was like, there's a people, part of the Nation of Islam just waiting there, like standing at attention. Right. So then the cop says, "Okay, oh, wow. Hey, boss," he called over his sergeant commander dudes, "Look outside the window." And they saw that and they was like, "All right, I will tell you." We took him to XYZ hospital. Malcolm said, "That's all I need to know." He looked outside the window. He put his hand up like this. And then he pointed in the direction of the hospital. And then all the people at the same time turned in unison and started walking towards the hospital. I said, that's what I want to do right there. I want to be able to have the type of control of language and body language that I can point, say something that can move people to action to do something positive in their lives to help somebody else. I said, that's it. So that was the point where it all kind of synergized together. And I said, I want to be a speaker. I want to be a trainer. I want to be able to say something and move people to action.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Between the faith-based, growing up in the church and that movie, it really was a pivot point for your speaking journey.
Correct.
That is amazing.
So then when you tie that into J&J, right? So I can't remember exactly when I watched the movie. I was probably already working at J&J or it might have been before that. I'm not sure. But I was also on the path of engineering because as a child, I loved playing with remote control cars. Any type of thing that was electronic, setting up VCRs and, for those people that remember what a VCR is,
That's
wiring
before
things.
Netflix, people, for the millennials and the younger folks there. It was the thing you put a tape in and you hit record, but you don't know about that. It's called streaming. But as I digress.
But yeah, so I loved working with wires and electricity and creating stuff and making something move by pressing a button. So I knew engineering was a thing that I wanted to do. So I went through the whole path in college and all that, landed at J&J. And then I'm like, man, I'm loving engineering. But at the same time, on the side, I'm doing these like little speaking things that keep coming up. And somebody will ask me to, can I speak to some students at a high school that can kind of help kids find their passion and their purpose? And if they want to go into engineering or they want to do something else, how do you kind of focus in on what you want and get away from the crowd, get away from your negative friends that telling you, oh, you think you smart? You ain't better than us and all that. How do you deaden all that stuff and focus on what you want? So I kept getting these kind of speaking engagements, like just kind of random and word of mouth. And so that started building. I thought, you know what? I am enjoying speaking and moving people to action more so than the technical things that I was doing at J&J, the engineering, IT stuff. I mean, I enjoyed all that, but it was like, this is the technical enjoyment. This is the speaking, motivating people enjoyment. It was on another level. So at that point, I said, you know what? It's time to make a pivot.
Well, kudos to you. On our last podcast, we had Chad Scott that was on. He talked about resilience and bouncing back and doing things on that sort. But one of the things he says, really going on, if you're going to climb the hill, make sure it's the right hill, right? So you could have done outstanding in engineering, career field, division leadership. You could have done that. But sometimes I think the critical thing for everybody on the podcast is to hear the voice and lean into where your destiny is. Because it's easy to kind of get the dollars and you get comfortable lifestyle. I think Chaz mentioned BMW, all the trinkets of the
Trappings.
career,
Yes.
but really he had a different calling like you did to do something different. So it behooves of all to figure out what that calling is.
Yes. And the sooner you can find out what it is, the longer you have to enjoy the fruits that passion, that purpose can give you. So I'm all about helping people find that thing sooner than later. Not that it's ever too late, just that the sooner you find it, you can just be in that longer.
Let me pull the thread on that. So what holds people from getting to there sooner?
This could be a whole podcast. It's just one question, right?
I mean, 'cause it's easy, right? I mean, we could all be like victims or recipients of it. You're making a nice six figure, seven figure, wherever the dollar amount is. Maybe it's the
Sure.
most money, wherever the dollar amount, it really does make make a difference on the dollar amount. It could be the most money you've ever made in your life. But then you have a different calling that's whispering in your ear to do something different. It's kind of stepping out on faith or resilience. Well, I mean, how do you kind of maneuver people through that change?
Well, first thing I would say, this is the 48-year-old Jamie compared to the 20-year-old Jamie when I started down this path. I've learned some things, okay? So number one is I wouldn't say just leave your job and just go pursue.
Well, yeah. Well, I've seen this personally in my own family. I want to live my dream, but that's fine. But there's no job right now.
Yeah, yeah, and I did that. I left cold turkey and just poof,
Okay.
I can make it happen, right? So, and I think that was the right call for me, but I would never advise that for someone else because you just don't know what situations are waiting for you in the future. And not everyone has the EQ, the IQ, the tenacity, the mental toughness to go through those tough times without money. Like
Mhm.
it's
Right,
it's
right,
a
right.
different it's a different situation. And then if you got kids and spouse, I was single at the time, so it was just me. If it's me and ramen noodles every day, okay, that's me. But if it's your kids and your wife, and it's like, whoo, babe, you gonna do something? You got all that pressure, So if you married, kids, all that, be smart. I would say, look, figure out what is it gonna take. How long do you have to go pursue your dreams before you have to make some money? Right. So I would set aside some money, whether that's 6 months expenses, a year expenses, like what kind of time do you realistically want to give yourself to be able to become profitable in that new thing? So you got to be smart. You got to be strategic. And of course, you want to have, you're married, have your spouse on board. You don't want to just do your own thing. Your spouse is like, yo, you ain't talk to me. Yeah, but I just
I got a
feel
calling.
this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Hey, but we both gotta go through your struggles if this ain't right. So you can get your spouse, your family on board, and then give yourself some timeline. All right, I'm gonna dedicate the next 6 months to fill in the blank, whatever that thing is you want to do. All right. And then only once you have kind of the plan in place do you take action? So be wise, be smart, look at what it's going to take. What are the obstacles that are in your way? What are the common pitfalls that people have to deal with? And now, more so than 20 years ago, is we got the internet, we have,
Uh-huh.
AI. So you could easily ask Chat GPT, Perplexity, Claude, Gemini, pick your one. Hey, I'm thinking about getting into X. What does that look like? Give me a 5-step plan to break into this particular industry. And these AI models are amazing. They will give you specificity. All right, step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. Watch these 5 YouTube videos on this. Create this, read this book. Like, it'll break it. I didn't have any of that. I was flying by the seat of my pants, hoping that everything worked out. So to actually have something that can break it down step by step gives you a huge advantage. And now you can kind of see, kind of peek into the future to say, wow, am I willing to do all those 10 things? I didn't know about number 5. I hate doing number 5. How bad do I want? Is my desire to do this thing greater than that thing that I don't want to do, or is that thing right there the deal breaker? I can't do that. Like, for example, one of my initial uh, thought uh, passions or ways of success or careers I want to get into is I wanted to be a gynecologist. Okay, that was
Really?
early on.
Really? I
Yeah,
didn't know. Really?
it was for the wrong reasons though.
Okay.
It was for the wrong reasons, right? So I saw I saw a simple knee replacement surgery on TV. It changed my mind. The doctor cut dude knee open, first incision. I'm on the floor. I'm up, the blood coming out. I'm like, hey. And then he proceeds to, pull the kneecap out and tells the nurse, hey, get me replacement joint 55 out the closet. She comes in with this metal knee replacement thing. Then he gets a saw and he cuts the old knee out. I'm sitting there in horror. I mean, it's like a horror show to me. And he pulls the knee out, puts the new one in, gets a hammer, bangs it into position, moves the cartilage around, sews it back up. It's like, see, that was easy. We do about 5 or 10 of these a day. And I'm like,
Really?
okay. So if I can't handle a knee replacement surgery, delivering a baby probably isn't the thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, you gotta know where your calling is, and at least you were tapped out early,
Exactly. So, but seeing that surgery was enough for me to say, no, let me regroup. That's not the thing. Right. But what if I didn't see it? What if I decided to just kind of keep going down that path and investing money in a medical school and then find out, oh, I don't have the stomach for it. So the sooner you can find out kind of what it looks like to go down that path, then the sooner you can decide whether or not that's realistic for you. And realistic doesn't mean that you can just do it right now, but you can see the possibility. It may be a stretch. You may have to learn some things. You may have to go through some things, but you can see, okay, I can do that. And then start along that path.
That's outstanding. Let's shift to emotional intelligence. How do you, and this is kind of in that same genre, right? How do you constantly weave your emotional intelligence to leadership approach, and why do you think that's critical today? I mean, because a lot of times what I've known, I've worked in the technical field for years, so you can have someone who's really astute in whatever system or math or whatever type of career field. They may be a top leader in that, but then when you put them in a group, I don't know, it's like WWE. Maybe things don't work out right. It's either my way or the highway. And I don't know how it was in J&J, but each company, even to a certain degree, faith-based organizations or fraternities, which I'm wearing my Alpha Phi Alpha Founders Day thing. I'll get my plug in from Founder Days weekend. But we love each other, so there's no issues. But how do you go through, I mean, and kind of balance the emotional intelligence along with the technical skills?
So to me, and this is just my opinion, right? To me, the emotional intelligence piece is even more important than the technical side. Okay. Now, of course, you have to be competent in your job, right? I couldn't be an engineer that didn't know how to wire anything, but I had a great smile. Like,
That's called Vanna White.
exactly. So there has to be some substance there. You have to be trained in your particular field. So let's assume that the competence is there. You can technically do the job. You can wire the thing. You can put this together. You can speak, whatever it is that you do. Let's say you got that part. But what separates those who are poor performers to average performers to outstanding performers is the EQ, the emotional quotient, emotional intelligence. And so how I define emotional intelligence is just the ability to deal with the emotional aspects of the job. That's really what it is. So that can look like, how do you deal with conflict with a coworker, with a boss, with a client, right? How do you deal with rejection, right? Like the two biggest areas that I'm involved in is customer education and sales enablement, right? So those two areas. So customer education is teaching customers how to use a company's product, right? How do you use the widget? How do you use this thing to meet your goals? To help you do whatever you do better, right? So I love doing that. So I'm still in the tech side. I can still talk about the bits and the bytes and the coding. And I still got all that. So I still talk about that. And then on the sales side, how do you, as a salesperson, how do you sell your company's product or service even better to meet your quota, to hit your revenue goals, etc. Those are the two things that I like specialize in outside of the motivational speaking and just helping people find their purpose and their passion and do it at a greater level. So take sales, for example. Selling, the technique of selling is easy, super easy. To sell something, you simply say something to someone else that has them want to buy it, right? I can write out the script. You want to sell this book, you want to sell this pen, as you see in the movies, or whatever it is, you want to sell this car. All right, say these words right here. Here are the common objections. Here's how you do it. Go forth, right? Now, just because I gave you the words doesn't mean that you'll be able to sell well. Let's say you say the words exactly as I write it down. You got the inflections, the tone, you got all of that. Boom. You say it to the prospect, and the prospect says, nah, I went online, I saw another company's product, and their product is better than yours. Yours sucks. Don't call me again, right? Now, the average person is dejected. They said I suck. This is not. Why did I get into sales? I don't think I can do it. Man, maybe I should do something else. Like they're destroyed. They take that
Personal.
rejection personally, right? And so now the thought of calling the next prospect, it feels like now the phone feels like a gorilla. Like you gotta lift this heavy
Mhm.
thing because it's like they're probably going to say no too. And I'm probably not doing it right. Maybe if my boss did it, if my manager did it, they can do it, but I don't have the skills. I'm not good enough. So it's the internal dialogue that knocks them out of the game versus someone that has a high EQ will say, okay, that didn't work out. That's their loss. I know my company's product is superior. Too
Mm.
bad, so sad. Next. They call the next one. Even more enthusiasm because they're like, hey, not everything is for everybody, right? How many times people approach me about something and I said no? Did it mean that I didn't like the salesperson or something was terrible? No, it just didn't work for me, whatever that thing was. So understand that some will buy your product, some won't. So what? Someone else is waiting. Next, get back on the phone. Keep going. So you don't allow that emotional stuff to knock you out the box. You have to have such a high self-esteem and a confidence in what you do. Now, if you think your product sucks, then yeah, it's going to be hard to
Then you
sell it. You
toast.
might
Then you toast then. I
because
wouldn't
that
buy my
customer
own
just did a
product.
wound.
Then you toast.
Find another product. Find another product.
Right, right, right.
Or learn more about that product to see why it's actually better. Maybe you don't like it because there's a lack of knowledge. You just don't know what your company product does. You only know about one thing. It does 20 other things too. And then you learn about those things, you're like, oh, I was mistaken. This product is better than I thought. So either develop a passion or a love for your product or sell something else. But either way, you don't let the negativity that comes at you knock you out the box. You got to shift it.
I need to get that script there because I seen firsthand. I went to one of Jamie's seminars on Excel, and I thought I was an Excel guru. And this man's amazing. He could sell to Eskimos. I'm like, wow. And people are coming in there. It was almost like a pep rally, Super Bowl rally or something. People were buying those Excel books like there was like it was a bestseller there. You came to DC and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I'm like, wow, I thought I was good at Excel, but maybe I'm like illiterate. I think get one of these books.
I appreciate that, man. I really do. And that, I mean, what you witnessed was just the intersection between the things that I love to do most. I am techie. I do like talking about bits and bytes and all that. I love that. That tech side is still there for me. And I also love showing people how to get products, tools, services that can help them learn whatever that thing is better. So that's a tutorial that I could offer you that will help you learn Excel. Cool. If that's a coaching program to help you sell more or be a better speaker or whatever, cool. If that is some online course, if that's a subscription to a learning management system where you can do self-paced course, whatever it is, my whole mission, like you talk about the name Mr. Lifestyle, that came to me one day. I was in the shower and I was praying. I said, God, can you please tell me what is my life's purpose? Why did you create me? If I could be so bold, God, can you tell it to me in like a really short snippet? Because if it's like a couple page thing, I'm not gonna remember it. So give me something short and sweet. And what I heard right after that was, I created you to empower and to equip people with the right tools so they can create the lifestyle that they deserve. And they will call
Nice.
you Mr. Lifestyle. I said, now that's what I'm talking about. Jumped out the shower, wrote that thing down so fast before I forgot it. And then that's what it's been for the last 20 something years is Mr. Lifestyle. I'm the one that shows you
Awesome.
the tools that help you get whatever it is that you want. So those tools can vary. It can be products, it can be services, coaching, whatever. If it's something that can help you get to what you want and I have access to that, well, then I want to show you how to get it. That might be for a fee. It might be free. It just depends on what the tool is and what, where we are and what you're trying to do.
Oh, that's amazing. I was wondering how you got that. I thought you were watching some WWE matches or something with Hulk Hogan. This is more that's amazing.
I appreciate that.
As we transition to talk about resilience and goal setting, we're at the end of the year with December. So we gotten through the first holiday, Thanksgiving, we get into Christmas. And then, I think the theme for 2025 was Strive in 2025. And so they probably say have some new thing in 20, be in the mix in 2026. That's nevillespeaks.com trademark now. So, as we get to the end of the year, people have a goal that they want to do. Maybe they want to be able to push through it. So, what advice would you give them to, stay resilient? Because I'm thinking about me, right? So, at the beginning of the year, I wanted to lose 20 pounds, but then the cheesecake and those Philly Hogans got in the way, right? So, I was like, man, these cheesesteaks and Hogans are pretty good. But I want to get there. I want to lose in 12, so I didn't go out completely off the wagon. But what advice would you give people to kind of keep that resilience as they make their goals for going into the new year?
Biggest thing, I'll say one of the biggest things is visibility. Visibility. What I mean by that is oftentimes we create a goal. Like you said, into December, January, I'm gonna lose weight, make more money. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, right? And it sounds good, it's awesome. You're locked in for 2 days. And then life gets in the way and the car breaks down and the sickness thing comes up and the parent deals with this and the kid has this. And so before you know it, you're not even aware of the goal that you have created. It has
And that's
been
in
placed.
January.
It's in January, right? Exactly.
In
This is the first
January.
week in January. So that goal or goals that you've created is now in the back of your mind. What's in the front of your mind are the apparent fires you have to put out. And then you go from fire to fire to fire to fire to fire. And before you know it, it's December 25th again, 26th again. And you're like, oh man, I didn't really do anything that I said I was going to do. And then if you're bold enough to pull out your list of goals, then you're more depressed. You're like, man, I got 10 things. I did half of one and I forgot about all the rest of them, right? I've been there, I've done that many times. And so what I've learned is take the top goal or say the top 3 goals. First, back up. First, write down everything you want to accomplish in next year. Just write it all down. And I wouldn't even put a timeline around. Just what are all the things you want to accomplish in life? Like just let your brain go. No constraints. Even if it sounds ridiculous, just write it down anyway. Write it all down. Get it out your mind. All right, then look at it and say, okay, now next year, what are the top 3 things I want to accomplish? If I could only accomplish these 3 things out of the 300 things that I wrote down, which would make me feel the most accomplished, the most happy, the most fulfilled? What are those 3? So you write those 3 things down, and then see if you can find a picture of those things online. Right, it's easy to do. Go to Google and type whatever the thing is, images, see a picture, copy, paste, put it on your document. So have a document of your 3 things with a picture next to each one. So now you got a visual. Okay. And then now this is me. You can decide if you want to do this or not. What I like to do is I then go to scripture. So what are the things that it says in the Bible about me doing these three things? Right. And so if I can attach a scripture to those things too, then it makes it even stronger for me, right? So let's say we're talking about losing weight, right? One of the scriptures is, right, I'm going to run my race to the fullest of my ability. Well, if I'm 800 pounds, it might make it a little harder to run that race. So running that race to me means run, move, be fit enough to do that thing that I said I want to do. So I'll take a scripture like that and put the next to losing weight, making more money. The Bible says, I'm the Lord your God. I give you power to get wealth. Oh, God said I can get wealth? Well, see, if God said it, then it means it's
Yeah.
true. It's not just me making it up. So now I'm getting inspired on a whole other level. Oh, you tell me this is my birthright? As a child of God, I should have some wealth. Hey, now we're talking. So that's what I do. I go down each one, grab a scripture, put that next to it. All right, print that out. And I like to laminate things too. So that way it's like it doesn't get crumpled up, it doesn't get mixed in with something
Mhm.
else. Laminate it. And then each morning, start your day with that. For me, it's going to my prayer closet. I take that document and I'm gonna look at it, meditate on it, and then I'm gonna pray. God, show me who I need to be and what I need to do so I can have these things right here. Who do I need to be? What do I need to do so I can have these things right here? Right. And then he starts showing me, hey, you need to be more compassionate over here. Hey, call this person. You said you're going to call them back. You never called them. I need you to help out over here, donate here, whatever it is. And he starts giving me ideas of how I can bring those things in fruition. And then also read scripture. I love reading scripture. So I'm going to spend the first half hour just getting into the word. And if you've never read the Bible, start with Matthew. Start with Matthew and just start reading. Just see what it says. Don't worry about, am I trying to be converted into being a Christian? Don't worry about all the religious stuff. Just read. That's it. Just read. And just see what happens. For me, it does wonders. And so it keeps me rooted and grounded. So even when I'm having those rough days or I'm on that sales call and the person says, no, I don't want your services. You're not Mr. Lifestyle. You Mr. Annoy me style. Don't call me again. I'm like, hey, it's all good because my word says that I am a child of the Most High God, that God is my father. And as my father, he has a plan for me. He says, I have plans for you that are good and not of evil to give you a future and a hope. So these scriptures anchor me so that even when things are rough, it doesn't throw me off the game. I might get down a little bit. I might have to regroup. I might have to be like, all right, let me call somebody to kind of change my state. I may have to go for a run to get out of whatever the negative spaces that I'm in, but I can do it because I know who I am and whose I am. Therefore, I'm not depending upon man to tell me how good I am. If I had to depend on the praises of people, oh man, you'd be depressed every day, right? Because there's always somebody that doesn't like you. There's always people that
That's
do
true.
like you. There's people in between. So
That's true.
I can't put my mindset there. For me, it's up. I go up, not out.
That's amazing. So it really doesn't zone in on three things because I think sometimes people have the tendency to try to go for too many things, and you're trying to go for so much you don't get there. I know some people use vision boards, and they do that, and then to your point too, I know that you could use AI to maybe do faith-based or inspirational kind of thing that's zoned in a particular area. So it seemed like if you interweave these things and really focus in on it so many minutes a day, that gets you there. Because maybe get like sidetracked because there's a lot of stuff on Instagram, Facebook. I mean,
Yes.
because now or television, and now it seems like it's so much things that can sidetrack you from your dreams because you're trying to entertain yourself, but you do have maybe those three goals you were trying to go over. So
Right.
I would take that cheesecake off of my a vision board now. So cheesecake, I take the Cheesecake Factory logo off my vision board. So I may get down to that 20 pounds after all.
There you go. And one of my rules personally is don't start with the phone. Like I got to start
Mhm,
with the word first. So if
mhm.
I turn on my phone and check Instagram or email before I know it, like I'm responding to a client, this is happening. And, an hour done went by and I hadn't even touched the Bible yet. So I'm just like, now I'm scattered because I'm in reaction mode. I didn't get a chance to get settled first. Right. I have this quote on my wall that my daughter reads every day when she comes in. It says, lose an hour in the morning and you will spend all day looking for it. So that was
I
by
like
Richard.
it. I like it.
Richard Watley. So yeah, if you miss that hour in the morning of getting centered, praying, connecting, looking at your vision board, your three goals, you miss that, you start off without that, then chances are you're always playing catch up throughout the day. because you're now in reaction mode versus being proactive, being centered. Okay, I know what today's about. I know what I'm up for. All right, now let's go. And now I'm filtering everything that comes at me through those 3 goals, through what I read in the word that day. I'm filtering it through that. So that's the lens that I'm looking through. And if the things that are coming at me don't support these 3 goals over here, then I either need to delegate it, I need to not do it, I need to reschedule it or something. I got to do something that can help me stay on track of these 3 things and not just start doing all the other stuff that has nothing to do with getting me to my goals.
Well, two things follow up from that. I had Willie Jolly. He's a motivational speaker. I had him at the
Love
beginning of the
Willie.
year, and
It's
one of the
awesome.
things he told me, and I've used this all of 2025. It's kind of paraphrase of what you're saying. You know, I'm a news junkie. I think it's in my DNA. My dad was a political reporter for the Tuskegee News for
I didn't know
for
it.
15 years. So I was all into the politics and news report. And this is not partisan at all. So first thing I would do is hop in the car in DC. You drive 40 minutes to go to work. So I'm listening to like 3 podcasts. And then Willie was saying, "Hey, Neville, what I would do is maybe I would change that around, maybe listen to some faith-based, some motivational stuff, or listen to something else, and then you can maybe zone in the news maybe later on." So I
Later.
said, "Well, let me think about that." And then I wound up doing that, right? And so when I would listen to that, I would listen to 4 minutes of the news just before driving into the parking garage, and it was a game changer. It's no kidding. Because I'll get there and I was like, wow, I feel energized. I heard something, either Bible on tape or some inspirational or motivational, and that was great. And then some of the colleagues would say, "Did you hear what went on the news?" I said, "Well, I only listened to 4 minutes. So, I mean, if it wasn't in the 4 minutes, I might have missed it." But where I'm going is, in some cases, the whole continence or the whole energy level was drained because they were kind of maybe you fed yourself something early and during that commute, and it was a game changer for me. So
Absolutely. I agree 100% with Willie because I've done the same thing. I've started the day listening to the news and what's happening and this war and this peace deal and this not peace deal and all this stuff. And you get
mhm.
all drawn in to before you know it, you're depressed. You're like, man, is anything ever going to work out? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm not gonna even go
will
to
there
work
ever
today.
be peace? This is terrible. And now you gotta try to like talk to a client,
Oh,
talk to a
that's true.
coworker,
That's true.
make this business deal with all of this stuff in the back of your mind. No, it's not gonna matter anyway because the world's gonna explode. We're gonna be in World War V, in no times. Why even do it? Right. So you're fighting against yourself versus let me start with something positive. Right. How can I be a better man, a better friend? A better employee, a better boss, how can I be a better husband, a better spouse, whatever, and start getting those types of information in, changing your state, having you feel more optimistic. So now when you go to work, when you're dealing with that client, when you're dealing with that customer, you're now coming from a place of positivity and optimism versus pessimism. It's probably not going to work anyway, but go ahead, give me an idea. What you got to say? What? Well, we'll see if it works. Right, but you're already coming from, it's not gonna work, it's gonna be problematic. Let me shoot holes in your process and tell you about how terrible it is, because the world's terrible. So I know something's wrong with it. So let me just tell you what's wrong with it. Like now the whole
Mhm.
energy just shifted. Now it's like,
That's true.
how you gonna close the deal? How you gonna do that if you're coming from that? Versus, I know that we're in a good place as a country, as in the world, whatever's going on, all is well. All is well. Yes, there's drama, but all is well. So if you keep your mind focused on the positive things versus the negative, now you're going to look at that proposal in a more positive way. You're going to talk to your coworker in a more positive way. You're going to talk to your boss in a more positive way. And now people want to be around people that lift them up. Right? The mark of a good leader is someone that makes people feel better in their presence. So when that
Outstanding.
person shows up, people are like, oh, party time, like so and so just came into the room. Like I can just feel it. They didn't even say anything yet. But just because their presence came in, atmosphere shifted. The molecules are different. I like being around this person. I want to be on their team. I want to be a part of whatever they're doing because of who they are. Who they are. That's one of the great things I love about the Bible when it comes to Christ. When Christ talked to folks, when he got his disciples, he didn't do a whole bunch of talking. He just said, hey, you, follow me. Hey, you, come here, follow me. Right. And there was something about him that had people say, you know what? I need to follow this dude. I like this guy right here. Right. And that's one of the things that I teach is how are you living? Right. The way your life is the only Bible that some people will ever read.
That's true.
So
That's,
what
that's
is
true.
it saying? Right? What is it saying? What type of metadata are you communicating? Right? Yeah, I forgot the guy who said it. Somebody famous said, what who you are is speaking so loudly I can't hear what you're saying. Something
Yeah,
like
I've
that.
heard
Like,
the, I heard the expression. Right.
yeah. So it's like how you're showing up is overriding whatever it is that you're saying. So have that the way you're showing up be so loud in a positive way that people want to be a part of what you're doing, regardless of what you're saying. It's because of how you are, how you make them feel when they're in your presence. And that goes back to the whole EQ thing. The technicalities of the job are what they are, but it's how you show up to that situation, how you deal with the problem, that's what makes all the difference. People want to follow people who make them feel better about themselves. Not in a fluffy, complimentary, just, snooze fest, what you call it, the snooze fest. Yes, it's not
Right.
just,
Right.
"Oh, Neville, you're so great. Oh man, I love your shirt.
What's wrong with
Man,
that?
the
Like,
way you wear your pants and your watch is
right.
nice, and
Right.
you have a nice beard." And not that,
Right.
right? It's
Right.
man, I like the way you show up. Like it's about your presence. That's the thing that moves people to action.
Yeah, I get it because you want to pump someone up. You might think it's some underlying kind of thing there, and you want to be authentic, and that
That's the
does
key word.
definitely.
Authenticity, yes.
I think we alluded to this a little bit more about bouncing back. You get off a track. I talked about my cheesecake, but is there some major takeaway? I think the vision board is a game changer with the three things, but that I know some people are going to struggle with three things because they got like it's 12 months in a year. I got to do one thing every month. But how do you get back on track? I mean, maybe we can kind of foot stomp that, a little bit more.
Well, and to those people that have the whole 12 things, it's 12 one month, the one thing in a month, one, do something different every month. You can still do that. Just do the first three first. So once
Mm.
you accomplish those three, then pick three more. And then accomplish those three, pick three more. So I'm not saying you will only do three things in a year. Is focus on those three things until you've accomplished them. Once you've accomplished them, celebrate. Yes, I did it. And now get back in the game. What's the next three? So someone that is a very overachiever, overachievement minded, you want to knock out 30 things, 40 things, cool. Make that your goal, but do it three at a time. Just focus on the three.
Yeah, I actually
Do
have
the
a
next
software
three.
tool. I think it's a 90-day year. It's actually a book there, and it has a software tool. And you would maybe come up with things you're going to do instead of doing a 12-month year. You just do 90 days, and you write down some goals. And then to your point, you say, "I want to maybe lose weight," and then you break it down into smaller goals, and then you try to forecast as best as you can what can get in your way. That is a plug for the product. I've used it, and then what I've noticed over time is the things I actually did write down. I want to get a promotion in this job. I want to do this. And then, maybe that writing it down could maybe help with the bounce back because you have physically written it down and put it on your phone and then you can go back later. Cause I mean, just not be bragging or anything. I've noticed that back in the day when you actually wrote stuff in like books, I would buy these journals from Amazon for even 1 or 2 years, and then I write things down. Then it gets, life gets busy. You throw it to the side. Then when I would go back maybe years later, and I said, "I actually did this,"
I did it.
and I wrote it down in my brain, and I wrote it down in my brain. I actually physically wrote it down. So probably 90% of what I've written down, I've actually done. And then there's some things that if you say it, you can be it, right? And I think the writing it down can definitely help you bounce back.
You
What do you
do
think?
realize that that's also biblical, right? The Bible says, "Write the vision, make it plain, so that he that reads it may run with it." In other words, write it down, make it crystal clear. So if someone were to pick up that sheet of paper, they would know exactly what you're about. Oh, he's trying to get promoted to this position by this date. Oh, okay, cool. It's clear. That's what's up. So if God said I should write it down, then I think there's something powerful about writing it down. I don't
Yeah,
know. I
yeah.
mean, he
Yeah,
created
yeah, I
everything,
know that
so
I think it's there, and then what happens is sometimes people were thinking and then people think, "Hey, I don't know, writing it down won't get me there," and then it could be a big audacious goal, you wanna, have like a Maserati. I mean, hopefully everybody in that podcast family has a Maserati here, but it might be some exotic six-figure car. But I do
Whatever it is.
believe if you write it down, it may not come by the end of 2025 or 2026, but I think you have planted a seed in your brain to make it happen, that so when the things do get a little bit dicey, that you can bounce back.
That's correct. That's correct. And I forgot the part of the brain. There's a part of the brain, you'll probably know it when I say it, but it's part of the brain where when you focus on something, it starts noticing those things out in the world. I forgot the part of the brain
Mhm.
that does that.
Mhm, mhm.
But it's like you buy a new car, right? You buy your Maserati and you buy, a blue Maserati with white seats and pink wheels. I
Mhm.
guarantee you, within a couple of weeks, you'll see other blue Maseratis with white seats and pink wheels. And you're like, how come I've never seen this car before? Now, when I buy it, now everybody got it, right?
Right, right. It's just like writing it down and making your lifestyle change.
Yeah, and now you've told your mind, focus on this thing, right? When you bought that particular car and you got the way you wanted, you told your mind, this is what I like, this is what I'm focusing on. So now you start seeing it all over the place. So when you write down your vision, your goal, you're now telling your mind, hey, find me stuff that helps me do this. What are other things that I can do to bring this thing to fruition? And your mind will start saying, hey, try this, call this, do that. Oh, I didn't think about that. So there is something amazing about writing it down. So my serious goals, I write down in a journal, like you said. I still journal, like pen, paper, ink. I still do that. All right. And then I also have software that I use to create the vision board and to do all that stuff too. So I do both. I like seeing it visually and I like actually physically writing down, I will blank. Or actually, when it comes to goals, it's better to do affirmations. And affirmation starts with I am. So I am whatever your weight goal is, right? The 20 pounds, 12 pounds lighter. I am this. I am wealthy. I am the owner of a blue Maserati with white seats and pink wheels. I am, which is way more powerful than I will be
Mhm,
or I will have. I will says in some future, right? Which is fine. But to
mhm.
say that I am right now tells your body, look, get in alignment. This is who we say we are. This is what we're about. And it causes things to happen in a much faster way. And again, for me, it's always biblical. So God calls himself the great I am, right? And we are his children. We were created in his likeness. Therefore, if he is, so are we. Therefore, I am whatever I say that I am too. That's another conversation.
Well, it's funny. Well, while you're saying that, I'm reading something here on this little board here, and it goes right exactly to this conversation. So I'll read it. It says, "I am" are the two most powerful words for what
Uh,
you put after anything, and it could focus you into your reality. And I've had this for like years, and I'm like, it's
look at
kind
that. Look
of
at that.
full circle, and I like, "I am," and it's looking at me, the 2 most powerful words for what you put after them. So whatever you put after them can bring you closer to your reality. Now, I
That's
might
right.
take a snapshot and, post it for folks later to see the "I am." I think I got
See?
that at a hospital a few
I didn't even
years
know
ago.
you had that there. You see how that
Yeah,
works? See that?
I will take it. I will take a snapshot and send it to you later.
Yeah, do that, man. I love to have it. So yeah, so your listeners, you should be writing down am, and then write what you want after that. I am a phenomenal husband. I am an amazing wife. I am the owner of blank. I am blank. Whatever it is, I am, and then fill in the blank. And then focus on those things. Again, it's not about writing down 1,000 different things. I mean, you can do that. The initial brainstorm thing is cool, right? Get it all off your chest. Write down everything you want to do. You have a slight interest in. It might be a 50-year goal. One day I want to jump out of a helicopter or something. Okay, cool. Just write it down. It may not be in your reality right now, but just write it all down. And then pare it down to 3. And then write down, okay, I am whatever that goal is. I am this, I am that, I am that. Get some pictures, put those next to it, print it out, laminate it, have that part of what you see every morning, whether you meditate, whether you just sit in calmness and do nothing for a half hour just to kind of clear your brain, but then just look at that document, just think about it. Think about how it would feel if you had those things in reality right now. Like if you actually had if you contain fewer pounds than you have now. If you have 12 less pounds on your body, what would that look like? How would you feel seeing yourself in the mirror? And what type of compliments would you get from other people? How would it feel to be able to fit into this size smaller suit, jacket, dress, whatever? What's the feeling that comes with it? If you had the dollar amount in your bank that you say is important to you, how would that feel looking at your account and seeing all those zeros? What does that do for you, right? Again, it comes back to the EQ, the emotion, the emotional side of things is so much stronger because we will do things that make us feel good, whether or not they're truly good right? Drugs, illegal drugs. It's about feeling good, right? I'm depressed, now I feel better, or I feel whatever the drug does.
Whatever the vice
We're
is.
going after that feeling. We know consciously I shouldn't do this. This is not helping my heart. It's not helping me do this, that, and the other, but it feels so good. So whatever. Let the chips fall where they may. Right. So, but if you could take that idea and apply it to something positive and look at the feeling you would get if you had that dream home, the feeling you would get when your spouse says, baby, you're amazing. You made this amount of money and now we can go on this vacation and we can do this. When you look at that feeling and you lock into that and you do that every morning, that becomes your drug because now you want that feeling. Therefore, you're going to do the things you have to do to make that feeling a reality. The feeling is what motivates the action. At
That's
the same
powerful.
time, don't wait for the feeling to take the action.
Okay,
So
right.
it's both. You can't say, well, I didn't do anything today because I didn't feel like it.
Well, it's nowhere here in the DC area, so I don't feel like going outside, so maybe I had to walk inside and do some stuff in there to help for these additional, 8 pounds here, so I can't go out. It can't be
You got
that
to
the weather doesn't feel good right now, but you had to persevere even when the feeling isn't there.
Exactly. And usually, 9 times out of 10, the feeling will come once you start doing the thing. So you may look outside and say, man, it's cold outside. I don't feel like doing anything. I don't feel like working out, nothing. And then you start doing the laps around your house or up and down the steps or whatever. And after a while, you're like, you know what? I don't feel too bad. Okay. These 12 pounds coming off. All right, let's do this. See if I can do it faster. Because now you're in motion. Motion creates emotion.
That's true.
When I'm training salespeople. Listen, don't sit down when making a phone call. No, 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 no. Stand up, move around a little bit, have some energy. So as you're moving and you're talking to somebody, they can feel your energy over the phone. Motion creates emotion. Just sitting down is easy for your energy to go down too. And you're not articulating the way you could. You're not as energetic as you could be. I'm not saying you got to be hypey and salesy and boy, do I have a deal for you? And watch, I got this beauty. And I'm not talking about that. Nothing I'm talking about is fake stuff. I'm talking about just being authentic. But just by getting up, standing up, moving around, your energy is going to be different. And that energy is contagious. Most people live depressing lives. That's the reality of it. So if you can show up non-depressed, they want to know, what are you doing that you can be so positive? Tell me about your life. Hey, if you're saying your product helped you, I believe you because you're different than I am. You have what I want. You have some energy about you that I know I'm missing. So I'm going to trust you. They're not saying this consciously, it's a subconscious thing. Subconsciously, they're saying, Neville, I believe you because of how you show up. I like your confidence. You know your stuff and you make me feel good. So yeah, I will buy this thing because of who you are. It always comes back to who you are.
Yeah, I do want to give a plug here for one of my fellow John Maxwell team members here. I'm actually reading, virtually reading this book here. It's by Valerie Burton. It's called The Rules of Resilience. She's part of the John Maxwell team, but it
I like
goes
that.
over how to persevere and how to do things and how to go. You may go up. You may have a motivation to do one thing in her books. She talks about wanting to go to the Air Force Academy. She got accepted. It wasn't Air Force, wasn't her thing, even though it was a family tradition. But sometimes you might be signing up for something that isn't your calling, and just the resilience in some cases is being smart to shift gears and go into what your true calling is. And you gotta be candid with yourself that says, maybe this is not for me. It doesn't have to be Air Force Academy. It could be like you say, you're gonna be a surgeon until you saw that hammer and blood all over the place, and so being able to speak your truth and shift gears when you think maybe you're going up the right tree, but maybe that tree isn't for you.
Amen.
I know we're getting close to the hour here, so I had other questions on teamwork and team building. I think we're gonna recover that. So that's why they call you Mr. Lifestyle. You definitely all on top of it.
I get it
So
all integrated. But here's
it's all
something for you.
integrated. So this is great. So
Here's one
I
other thing
mean, you
for
have
you.
some upcoming projects or things you're doing that how people can reach out to you.
Well, two things. So you had asked earlier, can we just kind of go back to the how do you stay on track, get on track? And here's just another tip. It is to develop a friend circle or an accountability circle of people that will keep you on track. A lot of times it's hard to fly alone. You have this goal, you have this desire, but sometimes you're just not strong enough to resist all the winds of resistance that's coming
Mhm.
against you. But if you know you have two, three, four other friends that you can call, or maybe you just have a weekly check-in. Every Wednesday at 8 o'clock, you get on this Zoom video conference, phone call, whatever, and just check in. Hey, how you guys doing? Hey, what are some of the obstacles you have this week? What are some things you feel shaky about? Let's see if we can help each other. Right? Just that alone could be enough to be like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Man, thanks for bringing that idea up. Okay, cool. Okay. Can I call you tomorrow at 2 o'clock before I make this call with this big client? Because I don't know if I can do it. Can I call you? Yeah, call me. And then you tap in. Person gives you whatever you need. Okay, bet. Having that accountability system goes a long way. One of my mentors says that, and I've heard other people say it too, but your income will be the average of the income of your five closest friends, right? So it's kind of like gotta kind of examine, am I around people that are actually doing things that are growing, or do I have a lot of negative people that are around me? I just keep them around because they're convenient and we grew up together, and they're very miserable, but
I like
my childhood
stealing.
friends, so
I
I
like
gotta talk
stealing
to them every
info.
day.
I like
What'd you
stealing
say?
my best friends.
I'm very particular about who I hang around, and so I'm blessed to have two or three really good friends that I know that I can call them at any time if I'm going through something. They'll check on me, and we can bounce ideas off each other. And by the end of that call, we're all more motivated to get back into the
Great.
game to do whatever it is that we said we want to do. So that would be another big thing, is to have some type of accountability system, a friend circle of people that are going in the same direction. And those that aren't, let my people go. Let my people go. Doesn't mean you gotta be mean or something. It just
Right,
means that you
right.
just don't talk to them as much. You distance yourself as how much you check in, right? Because you don't need that negativity to pull you down and knock you out of the box. Okay. Things that I have going on, man, I got all kinds of stuff going on.
Well, I know you're close on your PhD dissertation work that you're working on
My
the
wife
committee
is.
with. Right. Well, you talked about being a good spouse, and I know that you might be helping where you can.
I mean, the best way to reach out to me is through social media. So I'm on all the different platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, everything. Just look up Mr. Lifestyle, MR Lifestyle, and you'll see me everywhere. You can reach out to me directly. If you need to send me an email, you can email me at JLS, as John, Larry, Sam, at God Class, GODCLASS.org, JLS at godclass.org. So those be the easiest way to reach out to me. And then, yeah, we can talk about whatever's on your mind. If I can help you move through something, let's talk about it.
Well, this is amazing. We did a lot in this hour. I will now go back and relook at I cut my 20 goals up to three, and I'll laminate them and then focus in on that. Surround myself from, well, I call it a mastermind group. Someone's going to motivate and uplift you and tell you
Yes.
that you're okay. And maybe if you're not, they give you kind of iron sharpen iron, maybe give you some information to get you over. And definitely do some inspirational, motivational things. And maybe I would just have to stop watching Love at the Lockup as much as I have in the past, which is one of my favorite social media things. There, hashtag Love at the Lockup. I only watch that That was my delicate dessert after having a long work week because it only comes on Fridays, and it was late Friday after having a long work week. Well, you haven't watched that? It's all the
Dude, you
rage, but I think it's in it's there. It was at the end of the day, Jamie. So it wasn't just a confession. It wasn't at the beginning of the day. At the beginning of the day, you would get somewhat depressed, but at the end of the day, it was a little bit different.
you
And
know,
so
it's
maybe I
so
had to cut
funny
that down to maybe shorts.
it's funny you mentioned that, man, because I actually do enjoy watching some of those lockup cops type things. I just would not have figured that you would say
Well, I was in that high pressure job away from the nevillespeaks.com kind of mantra. And at the time, this confession, I would have a meeting with a senior executive at 9 a.m. every Friday, right? And so what happened was it was two of us. And so two of us would give a portion. And they said, hey, you're smart enough. The guy's leaving, and now you're the guy. I said, well, okay, that's fine. But now we're going to give the briefing at 8 a.m. in the morning. I said, wow, this is amazing. So I get to the 8 a.m. You were making progress on things. It would be a long day, 2 o'clock. And I said, something's going to get me to the end of the day. And I said, wow, Love After Lockup is coming on 8 p.m. And I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I must confess, it was faith based. It was kind of like, it's going to be straight in the not in a good spot, but I need something to laugh at after the 8 o'clock in the morning meeting. So it was an inverse mastermind group.
that's hilarious. That is hilarious, dude. But I think
Just don't
what
tell
you're
Virginia
saying
that,
though is
but
so
my wife
what you're
started
saying
watching
is
it
so
too.
on point too, though, because I think that's part of why I like watching some of those shows too, because it's like, man, thank God that I have the problems that I have and not the problems that they have. So, so it's like it is kind of inversely motivational.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. You're like, wow, this is hard. This meeting didn't go exactly how I want, but I'm not locked up in prison. I mean that can happen, or maybe I'm not in a situation that I can't get myself out of. Because even in prison, I've spoken to prison prisoners who are going to either drug rehab or they're going to graduation, and then it gives them some motivation, and then it went on to do greater and better things,
Right.
hopefully. But you
That's
can
right.
be in a spot where you think you're stuck, but you can actually maybe get out of it. Bottom line.
That's right. That's right. So you see, if you have the right EQ, you can take inspiration from anything.
Yeah, inverse motivation can actually work.
Inverse mastermind. I love that.
All right,
That's
Jamie,
my
this
two
has
favorite
been
words
great
today.
here.
Inverse mastermind. That's what I'm taking away.
Inverse mastermind, so you can see what you don't want and just write it down. I don't want this.
In my next interview, I'm gonna give out one of the tips is to develop an inverse mastermind.
Love After Lockup is on I think it's on the Women Entertainment Network. I got to see when the next season is coming. It can make your Friday end on a inverse mastermind motivation.
All right, man. You got to reach out to them and see if they sponsor your podcast, man.
I do. I had to be selective on the sponsors I get. I don't think that will want. I
You don't
would
think that
not
would fit with the
hashtag that.
brand?
That's not part of the Neville Speaks brand. But hold up, if you write a big enough check, I might have to think about it.
Yeah,
All right, I'll stop the recording here.